All right. Welcome back into another episode of Jake's Takes. I am your host, Jake Masucci, and I am super excited for this interview today. Today, I got on my guy, Bobby Nauburt. Bobby, I'm super excited for this. Coach Bobby Nauburt in his second season as assistant coach at Oakland University. Bobby, how are you today, man?
I'm great, man. First of all, I love that entrance. I mean, you came in guns blazing. That's the only thing you need on the practice floor, man. Jeez, out here getting it going. But yeah, no, appreciate you having me, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We just got done from practice
A
today.
little sweaty, a
Yeah,
little
a little
sweaty.
sweaty for sure. A little sweaty. We were grinding out there. With summer practices and all that stuff. Bobby, I'm so ready for this. I'm so pumped, man. This is exciting stuff. I'm happy you can come on the pod, man.
I'm blessed to be here, man. Like I said, but we've been waiting a while. I've been talking about it
Yes,
probably
sir.
since the start of last year when I was getting to know you through, you doing all those workouts and everything with me. So glad we finally making it happen.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, Bobby has been a coach for a long time. He's been at Oakland University. He's been at CMU. We're kind of just going to go down the ride and, talk about the career a little bit. So,
Yeah, yeah.
before all of that, you were a big time basketball player, man. You played 4 years at Madonna and, excellent college basketball player. So, talk to me about where the love for basketball kind of started for you.
Yeah, for sure. You know, it's funny with me and you working camp last week, and we're dealing with probably 200 little kids in
Yep.
that downstairs gym and trying to figure that out. And I think that's kind of where my love of the game kind of started. I mean, I really wanted to play football growing up, and obviously I wasn't blessed with a lot of big size or strength, so my parents kind of put me a little bit towards basketball. And I actually went to the Oakland camp. I think it was like 2000, and camp didn't believe me, but I have the picture with them and all the ribbons still. So went to a lot of camps and learned obviously a lot and took those things, and I don't know, I just fell in love with it. I think that one of my young mentors was Bernie Howicki, and he was super involved with five-star basketball camp, and he ran a lot of the Madonna basketball camps, which is right down the street from me. And
Yeah.
he always said, if you want to be good at something, you got to do it 3 hours a day, 7 days a week, 12 months in a year. And I kind of took that to heart. I didn't just say, I felt like I went to the camp the first summer and I thought I was pretty good at basketball, and I realized that I was not very good.
Yeah.
And I kind of just wanted to get better and improve. And I took everything I learned from Oakland camp, Madonna camp, and taking those things and really putting it into my game. And I came back next summer a completely different player, and found that if you put the work, it usually translates into success or something that goes a long way. And just kind of going from there, went to Livonia Stevenson. I had Mike Alley as a coach, amazing coach. I know we were just kind of talking about guys that mentor and make you better as a person. And I was a sophomore on varsity, and probably didn't have a lot of business being a sophomore on varsity. And he really stuck with me, rode with me, and put me in position to be really successful and just be able to make mistakes and get better. And was a two-time All-State player. Got recruited a little bit. Had some Division I walk-on opportunities, a lot of Division II scholarships, but Noel Emmenheiser recruited me at Madonna when I was a sophomore, and kind of was at every single one of my games. And he just treated me like family. And I think that's something for me as a coach. You're asking me kind of different things of what's important, especially when recruiting. And it sounds cliche, but building that relationship is so important. And him understanding who my family was, me inviting me over to open gyms. And yeah, so it was a easy transition. I saw an opportunity to kind of get on the court and play right away. And I just talked about Mike Alley. Coach Emmenheiser is as good as they come. Phenomenal coach, great character guy, and just made me better every day. And
Yeah.
I always wanted to be around really high level coaches. That's why I think that I kind of got involved in coaching and trying to get back to the game, is because the Bernie Howicki, the Mike Alley, Coach Emmenheiser not only made me, I guess, the basketball player I am today, but really the person. So just that kind of impact on and off the court, I try to have the same way. So did that, and then obviously got to Europe. So kind of full circle there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I love what you're talking about with mentors, man. Like finding mentors, it's so huge. It's so huge in just life, man. So, talk to me about your relationship with those mentors and how that's helped you.
Yeah. I think that when you're, have that relationship, especially a point guard, head coach, I think that you have to have that relationship. It's
Yeah.
really like, especially right now for me, I'm a point guard. I'm trying to really work with, Jalen's a young point guard, trying to
Hmm.
get those guys up to speed and understand. And you understand you've been there before, you understand the mistakes, you understand that it's not going to be perfect. And It's a hard position. For me playing
Yeah.
point guard, it's a lot of different reads, a lot of different, especially here at Oakland, you got 70 different plays. You got to know the formations, you got to get to the right spots, and he's done a great job. But I just think that building that relationship on and off the court, and Mike Alley would have me over at his house to have dinner and watch film.
Yeah.
Coach Emmenheiser always had me over with his family and always made sure that not only were we locked in on the court, but we were locked in off. So even now with our guys, try to take them out to lunch or go out to lunch with them. Can't take them out to lunch, but just make sure that you're building that relationship off the court and kind of trying to be a mentor and just help them as much as you can. And that I've just always had that in my life, so now I'm trying to give back as much as possible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I love that. I love that. So your next stop in your playing career was professionally in Germany, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
So talk to me about that experience living out of the country. I mean, I don't really get to sit down with many people that have done that. So talk to me about that for you.
Yeah. First of all, unbelievable experience. I
Okay.
mean, I wouldn't have changed those 2 years for anything. Just to be able to kind of see the world, see how everything goes, and be a whole different culture. Now on the back end, and a lot of times I'm telling our guys right now, especially guys that are trying to, rock it, and those guys are trying to figure out where to go or where they're going to end up playing.
Yeah.
Obviously, money's a huge thing in that, but also you want to make sure you're going to a spot that's taking care of you. That you do your due diligence on the club, just how they are as you. And I was very fortunate to have 2 clubs with unbelievable ownership. Took care of me, had my own place, had my own car, got paid pretty well. Um, I think the things that I try to prepare guys for now when understanding it is you have a lot of time by yourself. So you're really like, you get to be driven on what you want to do. For me, when I was over there, obviously I wanted to go out and see some of the attractions, get involved in the culture, try to learn some of the language. But for me, I was really focused on, I had a lot of time through the day that how can I get better? I finished my degree while I was over there. I stayed in the weight room, stayed in the gym. I made sure that I was sharp. And it's, like I said, you got to be comfortable with yourself because a lot of those hours, especially 6 hour time difference from your family and
Yeah.
everything, and the technology wasn't quite what it was probably 8 years ago too. So it was an adjustment, but overall, I was very fortunate to be a part. Those people really take you in. They embrace sports. If you play well, they obviously they love that, and I'm a big energy guy, so I was just like how we were talking about, making sure when you're on a team, going out with the guys, and I think a lot of people weren't really like that before. So for me,
Yeah.
I got there and was like, man, I'm in Germany. I'm not gonna sit in my room the whole time. I gotta hang out and get out there and get to experience it and be a part of a great culture. So extremely blessed. After the 2 years, I was kind of just like, where am I gonna go from there? And that's kind of where I got to do it.
Are there any cool stories that like kind of stands out to you
Oh
from
man,
that
I don't know
time?
how this air. I mean, maybe off the script we could talk about it, but I always tell this about my buddy. So we were going to practice, and it was quite a bit of a drive, and it was one of those stick shift cars. First of all, me driving stick shifts, it was a disaster. Like, I mean, you could not imagine how many times I stalled out, got to a light. I'm horrified I'm going to stall out,
Yeah.
and I'm driving, and all of a sudden I realized that we're really low on gas. And I'm like, dang, like we're not going to get there. We're going to have to figure
Yeah.
it out. So sure enough, we run out of gas. So I remember we're trying to make it to practice. I'm running to the gas station. I'm trying to explain to the guy in my broken German that we need a gas tank to get back to get over to the car. And I mean, the looks from my conversation with that guy, the confusion all the way around. We actually did make it to time on practice, but yeah, definitely driving in Europe, an adjustment and understanding like the speed of it, and just it's so hilly with the stick
Yeah.
shift. You're trying to move in and out. That was an adventure in itself. I'll say that. But like I said, there's a few more. I'll give you off the air every now and
All
then.
right, for sure, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I remember in Caymans sitting with Colin Shannon and the driver's side on the wrong
Oh
side.
yeah,
Like,
that was
yeah,
crazy.
that was crazy. It was absolutely
And
crazy.
trying to understand it, and like even when you're driving, trying to think about how to turn was insane.
Exactly, exactly. So after that, you went back to CMU. Am I correct there?
Went to Madonna first.
Madonna
Yep,
first,
yep,
and then went over to CMU. Had your graduate assistant year,
yep.
and was video coordinator and director of basketball operations.
Correct.
So you went all the way through the sports staff
Yes,
there, which is
yes.
flat out awesome. Flat out
It was an
awesome.
awesome experience, and I think getting back to Madonna, obviously Coach
Yeah.
Emmenheiser gave me a great opportunity. We were just talking about me and you trying to get in the door as a GA. I thought, I went and played overseas. I'd be able to come back and kind of pick whatever position I wanted. And
Yeah.
at first, I kind of didn't know if I really wanted to do the whole coaching thing, so I was kind of figuring that out. So
Yeah.
maybe I didn't dive right into it. But I was thinking, I've got all this experience. I played at a high level. I'll be able to get my foot in the door. And I remember I got a lot of doors slammed in my face early on as a GA and just trying to get in and work. And, we talked about that earlier. A lot of younger guys in the business, how important it is to build those connections and make sure that you're going to other camps, working camps,
Yeah.
and, meeting people and having genuine conversations with people, because it's a hard business to get into, even
Mm-hmm.
though beginner enter GA position, but obviously Noah was great, and I was able to be the head coach for the reserve team. And it's funny, that position, out of all the positions that I've had until obviously last year, really sticks out how important that was. I didn't really know how to coach. I didn't know what to do. I was kind of, thinking back as a player and, trying to not be a player, but at the same time coach. And I realized kind of my style of coaching, who I wanted to be as a coach, leading talks, leading the timeouts. For me, that was such a big experience. And then, even after I got that Madonna experience, I was trying to get to the Division 1 level and kind of figure it out. And once again, I thought I was going to be able to be swooping in all these big time offers and have my school paid for and get paid. And, um, I ended up getting a position at Central Michigan, and I've told you before, it was a whopping $5,000, no room and board, no school
Yeah.
paid for. So kind of just had to get there and decide that I really wanted to do it. And I was really fortunate. I had an awesome staff: Keno Davis, Jeff Smith, obviously the relationship I have with him, but he gave me a lot of responsibility, so I always appreciate that. And even though they only paid me the $5,000 or very minimal money, I felt like I owed them something, that they trusted me to be successful. Like they could have picked anybody, even though it was a $5,000 position.
Yeah.
They picked me. So I was really wanting to give them my time and a half back and show them that that investment was going to be worthwhile. So Coach Smith was awesome. He let me kind of get involved with the scouts, be involved with the practice plan, kind of sit in on meetings, sit in on recruiting meetings. And then I got to play in practice. So I think that was a cool experience. And it kind of gave me some street cred with the guys early on.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. A constant theme I'm noticing when you're answering these questions is the theme of hard work,
Yeah.
and I see it every day. With how hard you work.
Appreciate that.
Where does that kind of come from for you? Like, is there like a story behind it,
Yeah.
or what exactly drives you every day?
Yeah, I think for me, half of it, like I said, is just I always want to, believing, or someone giving me a chance. I'm always trying to give 150 to match that. Like I always remember, like they gave me the opportunity to be here. And I think we're early on, just for me. I realized I wasn't going to be the most talented basketball player. I realized that I probably wasn't going to be the smartest student in the world. And to kind of equal myself out or try to separate myself, the only thing I had was my work ethic. And, in basketball, like I said, I was a guy that, I was doing the 3 hours a day, 7 days a week. I was constantly trying to get better. And I'm not the biggest guy, I'm not the tallest guy or, strongest guy, but no one was going to outwork me. And I knew
Mm,
that if I wanted to elevate myself at the playing level, I was going to have to work harder than anybody to get there. And that's for me as a coach now. I'm constantly keeping that, now I wouldn't say a chip on my shoulder, but just more of, I understand that my background in basketball and coaching, I didn't, have that pedigree. I didn't have that, Division 1 playing experience. So I'm constantly thinking like I'm a JUCO guy. I'm getting it out of the mud type behavior, and I want to make sure that I'm doing it the right way and that I'm working harder than everybody else.
I love that. I love that, man. All right, well, we are gonna go to a little break, and we'll be back with more questions in a sec.
Welcome, everybody, to the Jomo Show, your home for Oakland sports and beyond from WXOU. My name is Giovanni Mosheri, and I am the host of the one and only show that covers the Oakland University Golden Grizzlies each and every week. Subscribe to the Jomo Show for weekly interviews with athletes and coaches, for a recap of the week's action at OU, and whatever else is going on in the sports world. You can tune in on 88.3 FM, WXOU, or wherever you get your podcasts each week. Go Golden Grizzlies on the Jomo Show.
Are you seeking connection, harmony, or a deeper sense of purpose? We believe spirituality is a universal language. Whether you find purpose in prayer, meditation, or simply connecting with nature, Merkaba is here to embrace your unique path. Merkaba, elevating consciousness through fashion. Visit Merkaba.shop or follow us on Instagram at Merkaba to explore our unique world of fashion. and our all-new fragrance line, handmade in Detroit, Michigan. Use code JAKESTAKES123 for 10% off any order. This exclusive offer only lasts for a limited time.
All right, welcome back into the show.
Ready to roll.
And we are going to switch over now to the Garden City years. We're moving in there. So Bobby and I off air have talked about them a lot. So talk to me a little bit about these years for you and your coaching development and how they helped you grow.
Yeah, junior college is an awesome level. I know that obviously we've had our conversations about, being a GA and then doing the junior college. The best thing about it is just the hands-on experience you get with it. I think junior college sometimes gets a bad rap a little bit, even from a coaching perspective, but there's so many really, really talented coaches at that level. And I think those 3 years really shaped who I was as a coach. I think the biggest thing was at Central Michigan, we kind of talked about being a GA, being a video coordinator, going to operations, and kind of trying to keep climbing that ladder. And I knew I wanted to get here one day and be in that position of Division I assistant. And I kind of went into the office and was like, hey, what would I have to do to get hired here? And he's like, I can't hire you here because you have no recruiting experience. And I was like, okay, that's fair. So I was like, I really want to get involved in junior college and, try to stay in the Midwest. And I got obviously Kansas and Iowa and build out that network out there. And like I said, I think that obviously from a location standpoint and living out in Garden City, Kansas, not ideal, but the experience that gave me, being able to work under two really high-level coaches, really opened up my recruiting network. Before kind of being at Central and being behind the scenes, you obviously stay connected with guys in Michigan and try to, work it, but you don't even know until you find out you have no idea what's going on. So, it's a really tight-knit community, junior college. So, I still stay in contact with pretty much every coach, in that Kansas league, in that Texas league. And, it's really beneficial both ways. I think a lot of times now we're always thinking, Division I guys, we're trying to get, JUCO players. But a lot of times those guys are looking for bounce-back players too. So there's a lot of give and take. And I would strongly recommend to any young coach trying to get into the game that, it's a grind and you might end up being somewhere in the middle of nowhere. But if you really want to be successful and you want to get into coaching and try to be a Division I coach, it's a really good path. Like I said, you're going to have a lot of opportunity to do the skill development. You're going to be recruiting heavy. You're going to be doing a lot of the game prep, scouts. So I would never look down on JUCO or, obviously there's a lot of really talented guys getting in the NBA now and playing at that level. So I think that's something that's tough. I think it's kind of had a negative, stigma or, just a negative thing like junior college. But, I mean, in today's world, there's so many good players playing at the junior college level. And obviously we have quite a few on our team, DQ Cole and guys that are big impact guys coming from that level. And I'm just really grateful, at the end of the day. I say that a lot, but I got to work under two awesome coaches that not only, let me go out there and recruit, they really let me be involved with the Division I aspect. So they were letting me be involved in those guys' recruitment. So I was able to get on the phone and talk to head coaches, talk with assistant coaches, and build my network and kind of understand that, I'm helping out with players. And, sometimes it's not always like that at the junior college level. The head coach will kind of take that control and, they're handling all the recruiting. So just super fortunate. I still talk to those guys probably every day. I'm actually talking to Coach Morasco, who I was with at Garden City, about a little bit of our zone this afternoon. So just trying to kind of get better and keep working. And it was awesome, though. Really appreciate. Like I said, the only bad part was Garden City, Kansas is really out there. And that's nothing against the people of Garden City, Kansas. Really great people, really nice. But, whew, you're in small town America, man.
Yeah, middle of nowhere. Yeah, middle of nowhere for sure.
That would be an understatement.
But you talked a lot about like developing your recruiting during that time. So how did you kind of develop your own philosophy? So like if I were a really good college kid, like now, like how would you go about like recruiting them?
Yeah, I think first of all, for me, something that's nice, and I'm not that far away from being recruited. I know that I'm getting a little older now, but I remember what it was like, what people made me feel like during the recruiting process. And first of all, if you're a really good player and you're talented, I want to start building that relationship with you. So from day one, kind of telling you what Oakland's about, trying to figure out what makes you tick, what would make you want to come to Oakland, what are some things that are aligned, Matt. But I want to get to know you as a person, because at the end of the day, I got to coach you,
Yeah.
I got to have trust in you, I got to make sure that we're aligned in the same vision. So there's no point if Oakland's not for you, that's fine. But I want to find out early if that's
Mhm.
something that you're interested, and then obviously given my background, I like to talk about, the guys that I've had, the player development roles that I've had. I'm building a nice little list of guys that I've been able to work with that are, getting NBA opportunities, making millions of dollars overseas. So kind of selling that I'm going to get that personal, one-on-one with you, especially guards. I think that it's easier for me to sell that vision just because I've worked with so many of those guys and had success at that level. And then kind of going forward, making sure that I'm doing my due diligence with your people too. In today's world, it's not just usually, a family. It's the AAU guy, it's the high school coach, it's people in his corner. So you got to make sure you're working all those angles. It can't just be like, hey, me and you have a really good relationship, but I haven't had any conversation with your family.
Yeah.
I haven't had Coach Campy talk to, you and get involved. So it's really a whole, I'd say, a village approach. I want to make sure I'm getting to know you one on one, but at the same time, we all got to be connected, and we all got to kind of be moving towards that goal of hopefully you coming to Oakland University.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. It's really about the people, you
Yeah,
know.
for sure. And
Yeah.
then obviously with Oakland, I mean, if I'm recruiting you and you're a shooter, there's so many great shooters.
Oh,
Travis Bader, Jack Golke, Blake Lampman, like just in like my time that I've seen. And if you're a point guard, we just had Kay Felder up here.
Yeah.
You got Kendrick Nunn. It's just you got Jalen. There's just
Yeah.
so many talented players that put on the Oakland jersey for Campy that if you can't sell that to somebody and sell that idea, I'm not doing a very good job of my job. So I think, like I said, just kind of making sure I get to know you on a personal level, make sure that I'm constantly showing interest in you, making sure I'm reaching out to your people, and then on top of it, selling you what it'll be like at Oakland. I can't necessarily do that all the time. We don't necessarily have the biggest money package, so I can't give you a bunch of money, but hopefully the relationship that we build and the vision of what you can do after Oakland kind of sticks with you and something that makes you want to come here.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. So, after Garden City, you transferred to Oakland. Went
Yes,
over
sir.
to Oakland. So, talk to me about your approach when you got this job. So this is kind of like, oh, hey, D1.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I got to this level. It's a
100%.
big jump. So talk to me about like your approach coming in here. Like, did you feel like you achieved a goal, or did you feel like, oh, I got to start over and prove myself again?
Yeah, that's actually a great question. I got here, I drove cross country from Garden City to try to make it for our first team meeting. So by the time I got into that meeting room, I think I was going on 2 hours of sleep and was exhausted. So the only thing I was thinking was just try to say something that sounds like I know what I'm doing, or like try to act like I know what I'm doing here. But um, I knew that going in, my voice last year wasn't going to be a very vocal role. For me, I knew I had to learn so much.
Yeah.
In order to teach, you got to know everything, right?
With
At a
our
high
zone,
level,
too,
yeah, you got to
like,
know the
yeah.
zone, and you got to make sure watching details with Coach Campy on every one of his plays. There's so many different parts of each play that if you miss one part, it's hard to coach it. So I really spent a lot of time early on, like when I was getting interviewed for the position, trying to learn as much as possible. And like I said, you can't really teach unless you know what's going on,
Yeah.
right? So, I try to play to my strengths a little bit. I thought my not work ethic, player development, early on, I could get on the court, kind of get a good feel for the guys, have that good relationship. And then scouts, start working on, obviously Ohio State last year we opened up with, but just kind of making sure that whatever role Coach Campy gave me, I was trying to excel at get more responsibility, I guess. I couldn't
Yeah.
just start running. I had to crawl and kind of figure it out. So I would say, it felt awesome. I was super excited to be coming back to Oakland. I feel like it's kind of like a dream situation for me. I went from, all the way across the country and then came all the way back, and it's been a crazy, 9-year road to get to where you're at today. And I always think like there was a lot of times, making $5,000, staying up super late, cutting film, and you're like, it's kind of like, is this all gonna hopefully pay out? And like we talked about earlier, if you really want something in life and you want to be successful, you got to dive in with 2 feet. You can't
Yeah.
matter about title, can't matter about how much you're getting paid. You got to do what you love and try to impact as many people as possible. So just kind of getting here at Oakland, I wanted to make sure that building those relationships, and we had an unbelievable group. I could not have walked
Yes.
into a better situation with the guys that we had on our team. Blake Lampman, who, I mean, he was the assistant coach and I was the player for the first, month. He was over there making sure I was picking up everything I needed to know. He was always in my ear. When this happens, this is the slide, this is the rotation. I had guys that wanted to be in the gym, 2 times, working hard. You had Jack Golke, Blake Lampman, we were in the summer. I don't have to tell you, we were in there working, Chris Conway, all those dudes that wanted to work. And then super coachable guys. So I didn't have to come in and be something that I wasn't. So, I think it was anytime you start a new job, new position, your expectations and trying to figure everything out is always coming in fast. So for me to drive cross country, get to that first meeting, I'd be lying to you if I said I didn't have some butterflies going up there and talking. But yeah, super, like I said, super excited to be here. I love working for Coach Campy and Coach Smith. I think that they make me a better coach every single day. And anytime you're anywhere in coaching where you're learning and growing and getting better, it's something that I value a lot. Like I wasn't trying to leave Garden City just because I was learning. And I felt like I was getting my opportunity to hopefully be a head coach at the junior college level. And it kind of just unfolded where I got the level here. But super appreciative. Like I said, I try to pay everyone back. So he put his faith in me as a third assistant, not knowing me too much and kind of backing with Coach Smith. And so every day I'm gonna show him that this is why I'm here, and you made a good decision to hire me.
I love it. I love it. So I mean, unbelievable season with March Madness and everything. Talk to me about the March Madness experience for you, man. I mean, like everybody had a moment where they're like, "Whoa, we're here."
Yeah.
So talk to me about that.
Man, that was a whirlwind. Like literally looking back on that experience was so crazy. Trying to summarize it to people, and you're just living in that moment. And it really started with even the Indy trip. I think a lot of people look at it now and are like, oh, you guys did a great job at Kentucky. That Indy trip was insane.
It was insane.
Having to play Fort Wayne, and like that game scared me more than anything.
I know,
I
dude.
mean, we were sitting there, we were talking about trying to prep, and they just did such a good job. I mean, they obviously took it to us in their gym at home. All my family was there too, and friends. That was the one game. Everyone was there, and they beat us by like, what, 22 or something?
Yeah, something like that.
That was a tough opening game, and we knew we were going to have to be on our, A game there. And then to have to go and play Cleveland State and barely slide by those guys, and then play
Cleveland
Milwaukee.
State played us tough, dude.
The crazy thing is we went from that, and then I went to Florida to recruit. And I remember getting to Florida and just being like so excited, not sleeping a whole lot, being on the plane. I'm watching it on the plane. You got the TV, and I'm watching the Oakland, Milwaukee, like the ESPN highlights. So I'm over there pumped up and not really sleeping a whole lot. And then having to go out there and recruit and then come back. And then we had the celebration show, selection show.
Selection show.
So it just felt like it was like constantly going and going and going. And then obviously the Kentucky game and the prep and just leading up to that. And it's probably going to be one of the coolest experiences in my life. Like it's hard to say that at 32. Like I hope like there's many more awesome experiences, but with the group that we had, and I'm just so happy for those guys. Like it'll always bond that group together. We had an unbelievable, obviously the coaching staff, Coach Campy, Smitty, Cub, like I felt like we had a really good like understanding of what we were doing well, like just really good like synergy, I guess.
Yeah.
And then just the players felt the same way. So it was one of those things where it was like, oh, this is cool. Oh, this is cool. Like it just kept kind of getting, better and better, I guess you could say. But being Kentucky, I mean, just seeing the excitement of the guys and, as much as we're working, as hard as we're working, and having that all pay off is probably, that's why we're doing this, right? That's why I think in coaching, obviously we're trying to make people better and impact people and, all that. But to see all that hard work, all those extra hours, the weight room, the practices and just the grind that everybody had in that team, 1 through 15. And I think that's the coolest thing, and something that, I'll probably tell my kids one day. It's just like, it wasn't just 5 people that got that done. It went all the way from managers, GAs, Colin with the travel. Like everybody was so locked in on trying to just win basketball games and be successful that nobody cared about who got the credit. Nobody cared about who got the awards or the accolades. It was just, how are we going to figure out how to come together and win? And that's like that. Like I said, that's why, my favorite moments in basketball, I've been very blessed to have individual awards and accolades, but winning that championship and being up there with everybody after knowing how much hard work you had to put in to get there is unbelievable. And
Yeah.
that's kind of where we're at now, just starting again. It's the whole journey again and trying to get guys to understand that the level it takes to get there. I think that's something that's really hard. It's hard to get young guys to be like, all right, like I'm working hard, I'm pressing hard. It's like, yeah, but Jack Golke was in here, 3 times a day.
3 times a day.
So it's
Blake Lampman 3 times a day.
And he's, playing on a bad angle and
exactly.
And just the grit and the tear that those guys had, like there's guys that roll an ankle in practice right now, and I'm like, hey, Blake Lampman was playing on 2 torn hips.
Exactly.
And how motivated he was to make sure that we were getting there and getting better. So I think it'll help me, understand that level. I think that's been something that's been awesome for me. I understand that what it takes to get there, but whole new team.
Yeah.
We got to crawl before we can run, I guess.
For sure. I'll tell you what, man, like I said it on the podcast, but right after you did the scout for Kentucky, I knew we were winning.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Like
You're
right
better
away.
than me. I didn't have that, but
right
I'm glad
away,
you did.
just because of the fact like they were young, turned the ball over,
Yeah.
and didn't play zone all year.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh,
It was
you
it was, like you said, it was a great storm. I think that it was just one of those things where you watch now too in the NBA, right? You're watching these guys in the summer league. You're watching Reed Sheppard and how he's just absolutely destroying
he's playing
everybody.
so
Yeah,
well.
he's
Exactly.
He's,
He's
a
an
beast.
amazing player.
You're watching Dillingham and how he's
Exactly.
looking like he's a top 10 pick as well, and how talented that team was. And I think it kind of speaks to what we were doing, and like I said, everyone buying in.
Yeah.
I think the media kind of got it confused a little bit with Campy and
Exactly.
Golke and all that, saying like we want Kentucky. It was more just we're super excited to be on this big stage against them. And then I think the first time I thought we had a chance maybe, or like when I'm like, okay, you watch all this film, you watch these guys, draft picks and all that, would be watching their zone offense a little bit. But then the second part was when we got in the court and like they didn't look overly like developed, Reed Sheppard and Dillingham, not in a bad way. Those guys are working, they're bigger guys, but it was just like we had like grown men, and they were obviously still developing. And when Reed Sheppard wasn't really looking to fire early, I'm like, all right, and we kind of dominated.
They
that
just
first
looked a
stretch.
little uncomfortable.
Yeah, and it was a big moment. I
Yeah.
feel like it was, obviously those guys are new to it too, and
Mhm,
even
exactly,
as talented
yeah.
as they are in NBA prospects, it's something that. Jack Golke comes and starts hitting threes. You're looking down and trying to figure that out quick. It's a
Exactly.
tough thing. And, there was a lot of moments that even watching that game back and watching the back and forth, I mean, how many
It was
high-level
unbelievable.
shots. Like, I mean, it was a high-level boxing match back and forth. And lucky we just kind of ended up on the right side of it, I guess.
Exactly. I love it. So last question here, and we'll get into some fun stuff at the end.
Yeah.
But what are your expectations for yourself going into the next few years of coaching?
Yeah. I think for me, I think this offseason so far has been really good for me just because now it's like a quarterback being in your second year of the system. Like you understand how things are running. You understand what the expectations are. So I definitely want to be more vocal, I think, this time around. I think that it's been Coach Campy's given me a lot of responsibility, and I owe it to myself every day to make sure I'm prepared and ready to go. And I think I'm always going to be an energy guy. I'm always going to be a skill development guy. I think that's something that's super important to a program. But the more comfortable I feel now, and I understand that there's a lot of guys that don't know the zone or don't know exactly what the expectations are. So I'm going to make sure that I'm going forward with that. And obviously we brought in Coach Trey, and he's done an awesome job with the big guys, and just kind of making sure I'm helping him along the way. I had Mike Covington, in the same room as me every day. And, he was always, check this out, check this player out, showing me the ropes, teaching me how to be a solid coach here. So I think the next couple of years for me, I'd love to obviously be here and continue to learn under Coach Campy and Coach Smitty, and continue to get better and, kind of just see where it goes. I feel like just take care of your business where you're at and do it at the highest level, and, good things will come, and hopefully keep progressing. I know I got a long way to go, but whether it be maybe an NBA position or try to be a head coach one day, but it's going to take baby steps. I'm not going to get there overnight.
Exactly.
And my job here is to be the best assistant coach at Oakland University, and that's what I'm going to try to do every day.
I love it. I love it. Control what you can control, right?
100%.
Exactly.
100%.
Exactly. All right. So before we go, we did want to talk about some football.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Yes,
because
sir.
Bobby,
A lot of heated debates here.
Yes, we have had a lot of heated debates. I mean, Bobby and Golke last year, oh my gosh, with Packers stuff, it was crazy. It was crazy.
A lot of back and forth, especially that Green Bay trip. There was catching
Yes.
strays back and forth. Coach Campy was about to kick me off the bus, I think,
know.
at one point.
I actually thought Campy was about to kick you off.
Yeah,
It was crazy. It was
yeah,
crazy.
he was not liking those Packer comments.
So talk to me about what you think with the Packers this year. Going into this year, you guys had the insane playoff run where you did not expect that.
No,
right?
I was thinking full rebuild, to be honest. I'm looking over there. I'm like, hey, Love's going to hopefully get it going. We're getting better defensively. We're not there. But, I mean, to take that big jump, I think it kind of reset everything. Before it was going to be like probably a couple years. Now it's like re-sign Jordan Love.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's the number one priority. You really bolstered your safety help. Getting Amos from the Giants?
Yes,
Amos. I mean, top 5 safety in the league, hopefully. So I mean, you're getting better. New defensive coordinator coming into year 2. So I mean, I think there's a lot of pieces there. I'm a little nervous a little bit about still running back. Jacobs. What is he? 26, 27.
Yeah.
Usually you don't see that shelf life.
Yeah,
progress.
And you paid him too.
And we paid him big
too.
money.
Yep.
So it's not only like he needs to work out. He needs to be good. And obviously they brought Dylan back. So I think Love, obviously, you got to get that done. I mean, the market.
Well, now he's
today,
not
right?
practicing either. I just saw that working out this morning. I'm like, oh my god,
he's holding out.
Yeah,
it's and he's the guy that he's like an Aaron Rodgers for us. Hopefully he's not Aaron Rodgers. Let's make that clear. But he needs to be on the field getting reps. So I'm excited. I think that the Lions have done a really good job, lately, and there's a reason why everyone around here is excited about them. I think they've obviously improved defensively, and I'm hoping I think it'll end up coming down to the end. I know that's optimism probably from a Green Bay Packer fan right now, and we're probably still a little bit behind. And you guys got some big pieces and kind of figuring it all out. But as a Packer fan, I'm optimistic. I think the division besides Packers Lions, I think Vikings are a little bit down. Where are they going to go? How are they going to be a quarterback?
Yeah,
Cousins.
We don't know. I mean, could be JJ, could be someone else.
Yeah, it could take a minute for him to get good.
Yeah, exactly.
He's going to be learning, obviously. Bears obviously got Caleb Williams, so that's
another rookie, 2 rookie quarterbacks,
2 rookie QBs, and hopefully we can kind of figure it out. The schedule looks pretty promising, kind of looking game by game, and I think it'll probably come down to those couple games when Lions Packers. So we got you last time, so I'm excited to. There was a moment there for a second where it looked like Lions were ascending and we were just going here, and then all of a sudden it looks like we're right back to where we're supposed to be again. So I'm excited. Hopefully sneak up on some people.
Yeah, it could be very, very interesting, and could be some heated debates of practice again.
There's going to be heated debates no matter what. Even if the Packers, I know when not to talk though. When they're not playing well, I know to keep it quiet and just sit down and not say anything. So, but. They're coming. Be ready.
I love it. All right. Well, Coach, thank you so much for joining the podcast, man. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, man. Really appreciate it. Obviously, thank you for the opportunity, but appreciate what you do every day. I know that I say that a lot, but I'm glad I'm able to be on the show. And, the amount of work you do behind the scenes to make our program better is awesome. And keep it up. And like you said, I know that this is something you're trying to build more relationships with coaches and get better, and just keep doing that. You're gonna go a long way.
Yes, sir. All right, that's gonna wrap up Jake's Takes for today. Thank you guys so much for listening, watching, wherever you're at. Go subscribe on YouTube and go follow the channel on Spotify. I'll see you guys next time.
Go Pack Go, baby.